Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Um, Trust everybody's doing well. This is our monthly support call. It's open mic series where we get to interview our practitioners to see where they are at, get to know them more, and then get tidbits regarding their IT journeys, within the ecosystem or within the space. So we do have our practitioners in here. This is all online via WebEx. Is beginning of the month. It's the first Saturday. To be specific, it's 12 um, Eastern time to 12 to 1, or Central time, which is 11 to 12 Central time. So we have questions to get us started. But if you're familiar, there is the Q&A. You're able to, put a question in the chat panel. You're also able to, use the emojis that we have for reactions. You're able to raise your hands too as well to ask questions. So if you put your question, we'll get to them. Also, you once you raise your hand, we can always reach out to you and then pick your question as well. So we thank Debbie and as well as Adanna for joining us on time, as well as Kay and Ken. So we can kick off with the first question. It's a bit about yourself. So we'll go with Deborah and then Adanna. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Inameka. Good morning, everybody. My name is Deborah Adepoju. I'm an IT professional. Currently, I work in the Salesforce ecosystem as a business analyst. My transition into the IT career space started about 2 years ago, and I was also a part of the cohort that Nemeka taught in 2022. So, but I officially began my journey through the gain of experience as a gainfully employed BA a little over a year ago. I'm part of at least this community and a Salesforce community that is dedicated to helping Black Indigenous people from our part of the country transitioning into IT career and ecosystems. Outside of career, I'm married, I have 3 kids, and I live in Houston, Texas. I'm happy to be here today and to share my experiences and also to take advantage of this opportunity to learn from everyone else on the call. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Glad to have you on. Adanna, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Adanna. I would say that I started my journey into tech about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I got into the company that I'm working in now in 2022. I work as a tech consultant for Deloitte, and I guess I also do business analyst work as well. I did the ServiceNow program with Nemeka in 2021, and then continued to go into his classes whenever I needed like a refresher, or if I needed help with anything. And the company that I work for now, even though like I do want to continue with ServiceNow, they have a ServiceNow a connect, I guess, like they partnered with ServiceNow. So I actually also use their platform to get more trainings and certifications since I already have my CSA as well. So that's where I am at, and I've been at the company now for about 2 years. My background before that was teaching, so it was definitely a huge jump for me from teaching into the IT industry. And that's a little bit about me.
Good deal. Thank you.
Mhm.
So we'll go ahead and get to the next one until we get the question in the chat. So what do you do outside of work to rest and recharge? I know Debbie said a thing or two there already, but let's start with Adanna and then we get to her again. So what do you do outside of work? Because what do you do to try and ease off the stress you have?
So I will say it's definitely stressful. Work can be stressful, but outside of work, I have two boys. So I'm either hanging out with my boys or visiting friends. Just things that are not so focused on work and more focused on a way to like ease my mind and calm me. So um, whether it's hanging out with friends or watching a movie, that's some of the things that I do to ease stress of work.
Good deal. Good deal. Debbie, over to you. I know you had already started telling us about family and all of that kind of good stuff, giving out to the Black community. But let's have you, give us a round up on that one.
Okay, thank you, Namika. So things I do to ease off the stress of work would be spending time with family, goofing around with kids. I love to cook and try. I love to try cooking the same dish in different ways. So if you see me on Instagram, sometimes I'm just looking for all those people who have cooking shows and cooking all sort of things. So I try to like emulate what they're doing, try out different styles. Um, Other ways I also cool off would be very weirdly, I love to go window shopping. And I know
You want to finish the money, okay? That's a
I
good
love to
deal.
go. I love to go window shopping, yes. And sometimes I do the actual shopping, but I I like to just compare prices of things and what competitors are out there, like comparing brands to each other before I make a decision on an actual item I'm gonna buy. So that takes some of my time, but I love the experience. Um, I also love listening to interviews, podcasts, and audiobooks. So I just find it an easier way to like learn from people's experiences. It's not like brain tasking for me to listen and draw insight from what people have experienced or what they have documented in forms of books. So I do that a lot as well.
Good deal.
Fabian.
Good deal. That's a great one. It's not all work and you remember there's the saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, which is true. The whole idea is work would be there, whether we like it or not. Even if we leave or transition from job or whatever, the job will be there. So you don't always have to, you know, overtax yourself. For me, it's faith. So spirituality, God time and stuff. And then family and friends, that's important. And then community. You're not in isolation. So whether it's go out to nature, walk in the park, go out there to, like I said, go do creative stuff. That way it will actually spark your inner genius, basically. And then the inner youth, like with family. Once you're with family, you're really your true self. You can't pretend there, right? So you need to remember that one. And then your friends, bring out the best in you. So you always have to have them around. It's very important. Yes, through the thick, through the thing, you're doing what you gotta do, then push each other on. Great one. I'm really happy. Um, so we don't have any questions in the chat yet or any hands raised. So now let's start to go to the good stuff. So how do you stay up to date with technology trends? I heard podcasts from Debbie before and audiobooks. So continue with you and then we jump to Adanna. How do you stay up with technology trends specifically to keep up to date? Like we have Gen AI, everybody has that chat GPT or you've tried it in some way, whether it's Google Bard or Gemini. There's a lot of them everywhere. So how are you staying up to date with all these trends around? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I would say that about 4 weeks. I stay up to date with current technologies and emerging functionalities. Um, I would start by saying continuous learning is one, and opportunities where I take advantage of learning would be to go on Udemy. I have some courses registered. Um, Not that I find the time to do them every day, but I squeeze out time at least, like it could be within a week, like a dedicated 1 hour, 1.5 hours, just to get a portion of some of the training done, to understand areas where maybe things are happening at work and I don't really understand this thing. So let me go find out what it is about. So I do that a lot. Secondly, I leverage the um, relationship I have with people who are ahead of me in the community, people who have more experience and they're already like practicing the things I'm trying to learn. So I leverage that advantage because it makes my journey faster. When you have like a one-on-one, it it helps to just demystify things quickly as compared to you learning it on your own. So I would say I'll categorize that as networking. Um, in the broad scale of event, like when you would refer to like a ServiceNow community or Salesforce community, I'm like more involved in a smaller niche of people of like colors or like background, if you know what I mean, to quickly gain access to learn those things that are emerging or are new. Because you would see someone, for instance, the very week, like a Salesforce AI certification exam is out, you will see our people are already like out on LinkedIn saying, oh, I backed this, I backed this, I backed this. So I I leverage those kind of advantages. So I also practice in my own personal instance because you have whatever new thing is out on your platform, or yeah, it will be available for you to practice with. So I do that too. Um, Certification maintenance and certification exam is also one way to help keep up to date, because whatever new feature or updates have been made to the certification or the features that makes what the certification is, you would have the opportunity to like take a quiz or something to just get to know what the new things are. So I do that as well. So those are the ways I would say I keep up to date with technology. And again, my quick my quick go-to places would be Google, YouTube, to just quickly like, okay, what's this new thing about? What can we, how can we like enhance this capability in our own work environment, things like that.
Good deal, good deal. So Adanna, over to you.
I agree with everything Deborah said. I don't think there's like she pretty much hit everything.
Nailed it, right?
Yeah, in addition to all that she has spoken or all that she has said, I would also say that I use LinkedIn as well, to keep up with like new things that are out. I know that a lot of times ServiceNow will post a lot of stuff about like things that are new, or whether it's just anything pretty much. I use that. And then I know Deborah mentioned, keeping up with your updates, and like if you would need to recertify or whatever the case may be. I know for my company, I just utilize that because it's offered. Once I set up my account with my company, I like things are cheaper, that way, because like whatever I would pay if I didn't have that, it would be half. So I just use that and just take advantage of that to self learn, self teach myself, I guess. and just stay up to date with those things. So just being able to use the resources around me to keep up with whatever trends that are coming up is what I
Yeah,
do as well.
perfect, perfect. And that's the truth. Um, the pace of change is not even slowing down. IT will keep you on your feet. I mean,
True.
there's always going to be a new thing. You don't underestimate the power of these technologies. Google, you can run away now. Just Google your power to research. And that's the truth about it. You have it. It's like back in the day when you have to go look for a dictionary or encyclopedia, like, starting out, learning a new word, things like that. Yeah, you don't need to know everything or cram everything. Just know where to go. And that's the beauty about the whole technology, whole space. You don't need to have everything, but be able to engage, right? Brainstorm, do stuff. Information would meet you, and that's the power of your brain, right? You might not need it immediately, but just pick that interest, right? They say osmotic communication. Pick the interest, keep it. Then you refresh on it when you need to. There's a lot of sandbox out there. There's a lot of information. Udemy, you can't finish everything, right? But the ones that interest you, just make sure you kind of like know what it is so that you can, be able to keep up with the way it's going. There's a lot of tools out there or capabilities. You can't know all, but once you dig into one, be healthy in it, like be engaged. Somewhat you would find that what works in A works in B works in C, because they're all kind of like the same thing. They're trying to ease or make things much more efficient. That's really all this whole thing is all about, whether it's for individuals, whether it's for organizations, whether it's for communities or nations, so to say. So that's really all what we're trying to do. But yeah, great stuff, great stuff. Uh, so the next question we have is the training versus certification course. So training versus certification, what do you think? What's your take on it? Would you rather certify or would you rather train? So let's kick off with Adanna, then we get to Debbie. All right, Adanna, over to you. Do you
Can I
rather
choose
training?
both?
It's your take. There's no. It's. I'm trying to get your take on it. What do you
Okay.
feel?
So for me, I would choose both, but I would start off with training first. The reason why I chose training first is because for me and from my experience, I knew nothing about the tech field or the tech world. I was a teacher, so I had no experience whatsoever. So even if I were to obtain all these certifications, if I did not know how to do the work, then it wouldn't make any sense. So that's why I said training first, because learning how to do these things and being able to defend myself when it comes to interviews. That's, being able to speak up and say what you have, like not just explain what you have on your resume, but show that you know the content or the training. That's so important. So I would say training and then, yes, certifications, because when you have these certifications, it makes you marketable. But when you have the training, it makes you like stay on the job. If you don't have the training, you're not going to be able to stay on the job because they'll just think that, you're a scam. So I say both.
Good deal. Good deal. I like that. I love it. Debbie, over to you. What's your take? Over to you.
So I'll align with Adanna on this one because just like she has said, um, both training and certification, I see them as ways of validating your knowledge, but in the actual workspace, I believe that training trumps over certification, because there are people who would have certification, but um, how you navigate the workspace, certification alone will not suffice when you get into the actual work environment. So training is what would help you to navigate those the challenges, the issues, the questions, and some of the areas that your input will be needed on the job. Um, So it makes it kind of important if for someone who is trying to like get into the tech space to have at least some kind of training similar to what you're providing on this platform, a place where you can get your hands dirty, see how things are done, how stories or requirements are matured, and practice at least some of these things, like have at least one or two projects that you can speak to at least gain that entrance or have that first door open up to you. And when you get there, you will still need the support of your mentors or whoever to help you navigate those areas. But then certification would not speak so much. It might be one of the things they will want to see that you have to have you come on board, but it would definitely not be enough to sustain you on the job. You need the practical experience and the form of training as compared to the knowledge that you will get from sitting down for an exam or reading a content from a book or from wherever to say, yes, I'm now certified. So in that same order that Adanna has said it, training first, certification comes next, and we'll all be fine.
Perfecto. That's the truth. It's not one or the other thing. It's a bit of both, or a synergy. Some people say balance, which is what it is. Certification is a validation, so it's a foot in the door kind of thing. Especially with the way these technologies or tools are going, they are wanting people to have the certifications to speak of their competency. But the training, you know, gives you that hands-on where you know it, you know the onion, you know your stuff. You play with the PDI, you actually get, use cases, you see how requirements go, you practice, right? There's a lot of sandbox, whether it's for Salesforce, ServiceNow, SAP, all of them, they do have Azure, they have sandboxes, Jira. You need to have your hands there. If you don't know it, right, the certification just shows you the interface. So it means that um, if you given the documentation, you should be able to deploy the thing. But if you go through the training, it will give you much more. It's more reinforcing. So if you get to the job, you're not going to struggle. Certification is just, you study, you sit, you see. But if you're in the space and you're certified, right? That's if you have done the training and you're certified, you're validating that, okay, this is what I've known. This is what I've known, and this tells the people. Remember, the foot in the door, the requirements. Most jobs, they are checking the boxes, right? That you have the cert. Then when you come, that you're able to do it, that now gives that accelerator. Boom! Hey, this person is getting there. But great stuff. I'm loving it because that's the truth. That's the truth. Each person is going to have that transition, whether it's you can call it imposter syndrome or whatever, especially when you're new to a space. But the whole idea is if you have done your homework, which is you have done that training, right? You have gotten that baseline, the foundation, the fundamental of it. Then now the certifications are now selling you. Your certifications is validating that, letting them know, hey, this person can be trusted to break this stuff. You can't know everything. Don't strive to know everything, but you are able to break it and fix it. Because the whole idea is that certification is reinforcing the learning that you know, and then letting the people know that come and look for this person. He can help you. He can help you. She can help you. They can do this. They can do that. Yes, that's what those certifications do. That's what they do. Great stuff. So once again, welcome everyone that is here. Where we've had our practitioners share with us a lot. So don't forget, you can ask your questions in the chat or raise your hand using the reaction, so that the way that we can answer the questions. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Dana, for sharing. So great conversation so far. So the next question is one that is really a great segue from the previous. It talks about generalizing versus specializing. So generalist versus specialist. What do you think? What do you think? So let's start with Debbie, then we get to Adanna. Thank you.
Thank you, Nameka. So what I think about this, let me say I'll sit on the fence regarding this, and I have my reasons for saying that. Generalist or specialist? Let's start by looking at it from the angle of what let's say I'm trying to sell this to you. I'm going to ask you a few questions and then we'll arrive at a conclusion about which part is maybe would best suit your situation. Um, First, I'll ask you, what is your career projection? Um, if you're able to answer that, are you looking at yourself maybe in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, to be like in a managerial position, overseeing like different teams? And then as a manager in that capacity, you know a bit of everything all of those things are into within that same ServiceNow ecosystem, such that you are like a bank of resource that can support them in handling their daily tasks, delivering on their assigned deliverables and all of that. Or you see yourself as someone who wants to be an authority in a particular field, and then you don't mind not knowing what is happening in other domain of the ServiceNow space, but wherever it is that your skill set is needed in this particular domain, you want to be able to stand up with your shoulder high and speak to anything in that domain. That would be one of the things that would determine, yes, generalist or specialist. But for either of these two, I would say there is none that does not require the input of time, input of learning, input of sacrifice and resilience. So if you're this kind of person that is very, very curious, like you can't stand not knowing something within the area you're working, then maybe generalist will be uh, your preference, and that way you will know a bit of everything and you are able to like resource to different domain of the same ecosystem. But if you feel comfortable not knowing everything but knowing just one thing and being able to speak to that one thing regardless of how the conversation goes, then I would say specialist should be the area you would focus on. So in my opinion, that would be how best I would describe it based on who the person is, the interest of the person, and the career projection the person has. Then you can maybe decide that I would rather this part than this part.
Perfect, perfect. I like that. Adanna, over to you. What do you think?
For me, I would probably. So I started off, when I started off, I was everywhere. I wanted to try everything just because I wanted to make sure that I knew a little bit of everything. And then as time went on and the more I learned, I was like, okay, this is what I really want to hone in on. This is what I want to specialize in. And so I started focusing more on one specific part of tech, whether it was ServiceNow or whatever, but I focused on that. But then I'm not going to lie, I'm trying to be very, very honest with y'all. You start applying to jobs and then you start seeing all these job descriptions and it kind of shakes you up a bit. So I went back to like trying everything again. So I would get like, I'll go online and I'll see like all these, oh, free voucher to do this. And it has nothing to do with what I wanted to do at first, but just because I wanted to be more marketable, I found myself not becoming more of a specialist, but like, generalizing. And then to me, to be honest, it gets confusing because when you cannot hone in on one specific thing, it becomes overwhelming. There's so much out there So my advice would be, if you know, like the more you get to learn about like the different parts of IT, then you start figuring out what your niche is. You start figuring out, okay, this is what I like and this is what I don't like. So at that point you can generalize, you can decide to go into a lot, but then once you figure that out, then you specialize, because you can become really good at that one thing, and that can be what leads you into getting that amazing job. you know that's my 2 cents.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And that's the whole essence of this thing, right? Um, Depending on the way you look at it, right? Just like the previous question where we said training and certification is the same thing. You just have to find synergies. And then it also depends on, like Debbie talked about, your career projection, where you want to go. Um, Adanna also touched on it. She said, seeing how these job descriptions are, the way the market is, right? Um, if you work for a consulting company, so like a Deloitte, right, or like an Accenture, or like KPMG, PwC, and all of that, they have Capgemini. There are so many, right? If you work for them, right, you have to be a generalist. Why is that? They have specialization in the different specialties or special tools, ServiceNow practice, Salesforce practice, SAP practice, right? And, Jira practice, you name it. But in there, right, you have to be a generalist in the sense of that you have knowledge a bit of everything that they have within whatever tool or space you're in. Why is that important? Right? Why is the generalist cap important? Because, right? And also, it also depends on where you are in your career journey, like especially when you're a newbie or you're just getting in. The essence is so that you always have a job. If your ITSM know all, a bit of all the different capabilities or suites of applications within it, most of the time, they might be needing ITSM, right? They might not be needing just HR ones. So you would have a job. If they need HR, if you know HR, you also do have a job. So you don't necessarily have to master in it. Remember, all of these are like building blocks. Once you have the foundation, that foundational knowledge, you should be able to, you know, go take a look at it, look at the documentation, research it high level. So that way, consultants, 3 months contract or 6 months contract, you come, you deliver, you go. So you would be sharp. You're going to be working with the best in this business, but you would have a good, good take of what. You might not be a master though. You're just having a good take of how to deliver it, right? Get it going, and then you hand off to a different thing. But you always have something doing, that generalist thing, because they can pull you into different things. So you would start to see areas that stick, or niche areas that will help you as you go. So if you're working for those consultants, you need to know as much like that. If you're working for a customer, right, in the customer's situation, a customer might not have so much fund. So um, the customer might be targeted or much more focused. So then your specialist will come in. So let's say the customer has only HR use of that particular technology. They are looking for HR. They don't care if you know other things. So in that case, you need to focus on the HR and be a master there. So that's where your specialists have to come in. A specialist have to come in there because you're coming in, that's all your business is, and you need to keep updated with that area. So being able to do that will really, really help you. But there's that mix in between, depending on your trajectory. So you can be a generalizing specialist. That's why I said a mix of both, right? So, depending where you are, we talked about in that career journey, you can, get one or two or three of them. Like in my case, what I try to do is I look at the experience layer. So I look at ITSM, which is the IT, supporting the business. I look at customer experience, or, customer service, and then I look at HR. those two areas. Then I look at emerging technologies, so like the Gen AI, look at AI ops, predictive intelligence, the conversational interface, the chatbot, all those areas for me that talks about that engagement, the experience layer, how automations will come in and stuff. That's the area that I'm like honing on in there, right? But now I already have that firm foundation in those baseline. Then that way I can, be able to do what I need to do, right, in these domains and the others. But am I going to specialize on one area? Yes, at that point now, okay, everything that has to do with AI or machine learning or yeah, but it doesn't throw away what you already know. Those are your baselines, right? Those are your basics. So in these core areas, anything that is happening or that gets to be, updated, there you're keeping up. You're keeping up. But it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, right? It takes a lot of, not meeting up with, sometimes you're just going to hone yourself in on your computer or do what because it's focus. It's focus. You need to be on it. It's a lot, but will it pay at the very end? For sure. That's a given for sure. Hey, you cannot. I mean, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. So with your, with your, with all of these great, it comes with great responsibility because I mean, once you're in that level, hey, everybody will need you, and then you try to keep up. Um, Ken has a question that we have in the chat. Okay, he asks, how was your experience during your first interview migrating from ServiceNow, and what's the pitfalls to avoid? So when you're trying to, get into technology or ServiceNow space, or Salesforce space, so what was your experience with the interview like, and um, what are pitfalls to avoid? So we can go ahead and have Debbie provide us with the answer, and then we get to Adanna. Thank you.
Thank you, Nameka. My first experience when I started interviewing, um, it wasn't really fun because I knew a bit of after like doing all the assignments, working in the sandbox, trying some projects on. But what I felt I needed then, what I felt I missed then during my first interview was the ability to communicate what I know to the suiting ear of my interviewer. There is a way you need to package what you know and what you're trying to sell such that it becomes sellable, if that makes sense. Um, so that was a mistake I made because I had so many great chances of interviews that I blew off. But it was also part of the learning experience. I believe sometimes you need to go to maybe 1, 2, or 3 interviews, and then you will now get settled into the interviewing scenarios and gain that confidence of an interviewer is just another human being sitting on the other side of the computer. I had those anxiety initially of just talking to somebody I don't know and trying to make a good impression. So where the story changed for me was when I began to seek support, interview support specifically. Like I will reach out to Nemeka a number of times and I'll be like, I have this interview coming up. Would you be available to listen to me, critique me, and correct me? So I did that quite a number of times, both with Nemeka and someone else in the Salesforce ecosystem. And that was when the game changed completely for me. And I began to like say the right things. I was I was getting moved from stage to stage. But before then, I would just get the first stage, if I'm lucky, the second stage, and then I will not hear back from them. And I knew again that there was knowledge gap in what I was communicating. And even the ones I knew, I wasn't packaging my responses well. So for everyone that is still trying to break in, take advantage of the existing community, this very one we're in, get as much help as you need. Let people listen to you. Share what you think you know and say it to them, and let them use their legacy knowledge to package you right, just so you don't spend so much time in the market and keep competing with other people and getting those rejection emails. So those were the mistakes I made, and that was how I corrected them.
Good deal, good deal. So Adanna, over to you.
Mm, I again, I agree with everything that Deborah said. In addition, I think for me at the beginning, I was nervous about the interviews, but don't be afraid to like actually take on those interviews because it's also a learning experience too. Even if you don't get that first job, at least like you go in and you're taking notes as well, so you know what kind of questions they'll be asking. The first interview for me kind of scared me because it made me feel like, oh, I'm not prepared, I'm not ready. But then it was later on, and after talking to like some mentors, that I realized, okay, now just use that to your advantage, go back and retweak your resume and go back again and just keep trying until you get what you're looking for. um, Deborah mentioned like our trainings and the being able to know how to word that. I think that's so important because with this this program that we're doing with the NEMECA, what that does, when he says that everything that he teaches us gives us the experience that we need, like believe that, because all that we learn, when you try to put it into work experience, it's like 5, 6, 7 years experience. It's just a matter of you like putting that in your resume in a way that they would actually see it and being able to defend. So everything that you do in your personal PDI and stuff, everything that you do, make sure that you're actually writing that down. Make sure that you're remembering it, going back and watching those videos again, the training sessions again, and being able to use that as leverage for when you're studying on your own is so important. The more you do it, the more you get used to it. So when you're speaking about it in your interview, it flows. It feels like something that's like, like secondhand to you. But if you say that you have 5 years experience and then the time comes for you to do your interview and you're not like sounding confident or you're not speaking to it or you're fidgeting, then they're going to know that, okay, yep, you said this, but then you can't stand up to it. So then that's when you get those issues where you're not getting the callbacks and stuff. So I definitely think that other than that, I agree with everything else that Deborah said.
Perfecto, perfecto. And that's the truth. Um, you're the best candidate, but if you're not selling yourself, if you're not packaging yourself, nobody knows. Nobody knows. And the truth is this: the interview, right, and the job search is a job in itself. So um, you need to go out there. I mean, you have done all the training, you have gotten the certification, you have been able to, update your resume, have an elevator pitch. You need to go out there and talk. You're scoping them, you're seeing whether they fit you, and then they are fitting. They see everything that your resume tells them that you're the best for this job. So you're the one that has to seal the deal. So it's not just submit resume and it's come and start. No, you need to show. So they need to see that passion. They need to see that confidence. So if you have done all that homework, gone through all the classes and done what you need to, yeah, it's time for you to go complete that, right? Put the crown in or the ice in there. Go speak to it. Um, Sometimes you do it one and done. I mean, I've seen people that, that's the case, from a small, let's chat to, 15 minutes, it turned to an hour, before you know it, they're already sending offer letters. That happens, no doubt. But sometimes it takes you to go the first time, right? It's the tense moment, right? Especially if you have not done any practice or preparation. But if you do it the first time, like even if you say you want to do failure rate, Are you taking notes, right? Your memory, are you remembering, especially a question that you didn't answer right? Are you able to go and Google the answer? If you can't Google the answer, you can ask others, see the responses, and then you summarize. That's you doing your own groundwork or homework. So if you fail it the first time, the next time that should be your number one answer. Like, you shouldn't miss that answer again. That's the key. That's the key there. But the more you do it, the more you're refining, because that's the whole adaptation, right? Being agile, being nimble. Continue to refine this thing, and then it's second nature. So even if you're sleeping, you can speak to pretty much any Scrum role. You can speak to any job description. All you need to do is look at the job description, take a look at the application there, but you should be able to come and deliver, like, effortlessly. The way you will be sounding it, even in fact, you have to control or command that interview like you're talking to your child. But the only thing is, you're going to sound confident when you know it, because you're going to listen, validate, which is that, attention to the issue. Then you dish it out, like you dish it out, because it's already there in your wealth of knowledge. You already have it there waiting to go. But yeah, that's really all it is. The more practice, the more preparation, the more things you're able to deliver it. If you're not, and then go there, having prepared, go there with your A game. And what's the worst that can happen? They don't call you back. So they're not going to come and whoop you now. So that's the worst that can happen. So don't go there and I don't want to fail it, and then you don't even get the interview, right? Go there that you're coming to have fun. Go there that it's yours, right? If it's yours, it's yours. Yes, nobody's going to take it away. Or go in there, well prepared, doing what you can do, and that's you just, being in your element, Good deal. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you for, our practitioner, Deborah, and Adanna, for sharing the parting advice. This last question from Ken has really been, just to, get going there. Nobody's gonna, your interviews, your selling points, go out there and then do what you need to. Um, don't say you're not good enough. The only way you know that you're not, that you need to do more work is when you go out there, and then it will force you even to prepare. So Debbie, give us the parting advice, then we get from Adanna, and then we go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Parting advice, I think I have two. Identify your interest. It makes learning fun if you know where your interest lies, as compared to you forcing yourself and struggling to learn. We're already acquiring skills, so I don't have to say anything about that. And I believe we're doing good acquiring those skills. We have a capable mentor and a capable teacher, so just take advantage of that opportunity. Do your whatever assignments and homework you're given, use those as, do it diligently such that you can speak to them when you have those, when those opportunity doors are open to you. You can use them as part of your project and stuff you have done that you can speak to because you actually did them. Be confident. The interviewer, the hiring manager, they're just human beings at the other end. And once you're confident, whatever you're telling them will be easily believable. And lastly, stay connected in the community. Leverage advantage of people who already know things you don't, and it will make your journey go faster and make your learning process easier. And even on the job, there will still be days you'll be assigned tasks and you'll be like, I need help with this one. So if you don't have that connection, you might not necessarily be confident talking to people you're working with, having claimed 3 years experiences to ask some of these questions. It might make you look silly, or are you all right? But the people who already know your journey and your story will be willing and ready to help you demystify some of those things and be open to all the learning opportunities such that you're quick to like find something tangible or worth saying when you're being thrown things on the go. So that way you'll be able to like arm yourself to protect your legacy and what you claim to be on the job. So that will be all for me.
Thank you, Deborah. Adanna, over to you. It's considered.
I just have two. The first one is through this experience, make sure that you get a mentor. If there's someone that you know personally that's already where you want to be, then connect with that person and use that person as like someone that you can go to for advice, or if you're not sure of what certifications you need to take to get to where they are, or what trainings you need to take, then that would be a good opportunity to ask that person. One thing that I've started doing is going on LinkedIn and just, searching up people that are where I want to be, whether, depending on whatever certification or um, a job that I'm looking for. And I just connect and start off with a hello, blah, blah, blah. I'm interested in this. Do you mind if I reach out to you from time to time with questions? Sometimes it's gone well and sometimes they don't respond, but hey, I know where I want to be, and that's what pushes me to continue. The second thing that I wanted to say was just don't be discouraged. If you try that first interview and it doesn't work out, don't give up. It's just one out of so many. Yes, sometimes like we hear apply to 30 jobs a day, and you apply and you keep getting all these rejections. One will surely, or two will surely come through. Don't let that discourage you. You have so much that you can give. You just need someone to give you that chance to show that. So don't think or don't feel that, okay, these people have said no, or so many rejections. Oh, I'm tired. No, just keep pushing. And through all of that, if you ever get to the point where you get the interview and it doesn't work out, learn from it. As you're asking them questions, or whenever they're asking you questions, write those things down. Feel free to reach out to the person too and say, is there anything that you feel that I could have done better to get this job? A lot of them respond, they'll tell you. And then sometimes if they don't, then just say, okay, this wasn't the job that was meant for me. But I just want to encourage everybody, starting off is hard, but when you do get there, you'll enjoy it. And then before you know it, you're like, this is not where I want to be. I want something more. So you keep pushing. It's just getting there, but don't give up, please.
Perfect,
That's
perfect, perfect. Um, so thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Adanna. Thank you, Kay, and everyone for showing up. The recording will be out. You will get connection. You get their contact so that you can always connect. But hey, it's all one community. We come out there. No one knows it all. We're all learning, sharing our experiences, getting the next best thing. That's all it is. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, have a good one.